when I hit burnout was a couple of years ago when I couldn't look at my phone. I couldn't respond to texts. They scared me.
Welcome to the Blind Mom Life podcast. I'm your host, Chelsea Painter Davis, blind wife, mother, and public speaker. I want to invite you to dive deep with my special guests and I as we talk conquering disabilities, cherishing motherhood, and choosing life. Are you ready? Action. So I love Rugrats. For those of you who've never seen the show or the films, it is about this little baby named Tommy Pickles and his gang of toddler friends, Angelica, Phil and Lil, Chucky Finster, Susie, Kimmy, all of these little kids who get into crazy adventures whenever their parents are not looking. It is so funny, and I loved to watch it when I was a kid, but I enjoy it so much more now as an adult, watching it with my daughter, who's about 3.5. This show is based in hyperbole, but it feels very real, the chaos and mischief that these kids get up to. One of our favorite films to watch together is Rugrats the movie. In the story, Tommy is so excited that he's going to be getting a loving, sweet little baby sister soon. But to his big surprise, he is not greeted with a soft, kind, sweet baby sister. He has a cranky, feisty, mean baby brother, and he does not know what to do. Even Tommy's friends try to convince him that Dylan is a broken baby and he needs to be taken back to the hospital so Tommy can get his monies back. Tommy tries so hard to defend his brother, but finally it sinks in. Our lives have changed. It is crazy what happens when you bring a new baby home. Everybody thinks, oh, it's going to be so sweet and loving, and my baby is just going to lay on my chest and sleep for hours, and they'll never cry, and I'll know just what to do, and you know nothing. You know nothing, pregnant women, with your first baby. It is so hard, and you can't understand until you've been through it. And I knew nothing when I was pregnant, absolutely nothing. And it's such a sweet, sweet time to be dreaming of this baby that you will bring home. But you're in for a rude awakening when it gets there. Because although these sweet, precious, squishy babies are loving and sweet and we want to hold them forever, they're also loud and annoying and rude. And it is very hard to remember to take care of anyone but that baby because they need so much. They have to be fed, they have to be changed, they have to be washed, they have to be dressed, they have to be played with, they have to be held to, they have to be sung to, they have to be rocked, they have to be read to. There's so many things that babies need, but there's so many things that mamas need. And it is so easy to forget about our needs. Because as soon as the baby's asleep, we just want to pass out. We're so exhausted. And we do have to go take a shower because it's been 3, 4, 5, I don't know how many days anymore because I can't think. And we do have to go wash the dishes because the baby bottles need cleaned. And then someone told me that if they're not sanitized, then my baby could get some kind of disease and then the whole world will explode. And we don't know what to do about that. How would we ever clean it up if the whole world exploded? It would look like underneath my dining table. And how am I going to get to that? Because my other friend wants me to go to the zoo with them and I'm so tired. I can't go to the zoo. All I want to do is lay at the bottom of the shower and cry as the water runs over me. But I don't want to tell her that because I'm scared she'll think I suck as a mother. Because when I see her with her kids, she's always happy and perky and everything is going great and she's not complaining at all. So what's wrong with me? Why can't I do everything? Why can't I be a super mom who runs a fancy CEO career and has 10 children at the same time and is beautiful and wears high heels in the kitchen while she makes pancakes? Why is that not me? What's wrong with me? And it is so hard to escape all of this guilt and shame that we carry around in motherhood because we think we have to be perfect. Not just perfect, the best. The most perfect mother that's ever lived, who does absolutely everything and grows her food in the backyard and quilts and makes her own clothes, but also runs a tech company from her iPhone. Why can't we do all of these things? It's because we're people, and people can't do all of that. But we can hold our babies, and we can love them, and we can, when things get hard, as they do every single day for moms, we can take a break, call a friend, ask for help, go take a shower, and say, this is too much, and I need some help. I need some rest. I need some fun. I need some sleep. I need some food. I have needs too, just like this baby does. And that's why I want to introduce you to Tiffany, because she's been through that same situation of mom burnout, of why can't I do more? Why can't I do everything perfectly all the time with no worries and no stress? And I hope that you can glean a nugget of wisdom from her life and how she's overcome these expectations that used to rule my life that I still have to battle every day. So without any further ado, meet my friend Tiffany.
Okay, Tiffany, thank you so much for coming to talk with us today. Could you share a little bit about yourself and kind of introduce to the audience?
I would love to. And thank you, by the way, Chelsea. Thank you for having me. What an honor. This isn't something I do very often. So thank you. I'm excited to be with you. Okay, so talk about myself. I don't normally do that. So I had to think about what do I think about myself? Because I normally just say I'm a pastor's wife, and that's like it. And people move on. Like, oh, it either shuts down a conversation or it totally engages a conversation.
Right.
But first and foremost, maybe I could just start back at the beginning.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was born in Tampa, Florida. My mom and dad had been married just for a short time, and they planned to have me. And they had me, and 2 years later, my dad decided that he needed to go a different route, I guess, because my parents were divorced. So when I was 3 years old, it was my mom and me for a couple years. I think that's when I first kind of remember all my memories, and it was just me and my mom. So for the next couple of years, I was basically glued to my mama's side. And then when I was 6 years old, a new person came into my life. I would consider him kind of our Boaz. He redeemed my mom and me. He took us in. His name is Joel. He became my stepdaddy, and he was the first Christian to come into our life. And so my dad married my mom and me. And from that point on, I grew up in a Christian church, Christian home, Christian church, Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night. And I was just blessed in that way. So I guess you'd say maybe a little bit of a rocky beginning, and then just so thankful that I was able to say that I grew up in a Christian home and was raised in church. But church does not save you. And so when I was 17, I came to the complete and utter realization that if I were to die, I would die apart from Jesus. I had never given my life to him. I was just kind of being a good girl and going through the motions and all of that. And so actually I realized that when I was 15, but it took me 2 years to actually muster up the courage and figure out it's so simple to just surrender. But anyway, I surrendered my life to Jesus at 17. Best day of my life, best thing I ever did. And shortly after that, I started dating this really cute, really precious, awesome guy. His name was Aaron. He was the quarterback of our football team at my high school.
Ooh, fancy. Does that make you the head cheerleader?
I was. I'm not even joking.
Wow.
I would say no, I was an artist or something. But no, I was the
that is so
I really
funny.
was the captain of the cheerleading squad. As
it was written in the stars.
Cliche as that sounds. But anyway, my husband, he's my husband now. Okay,
Mhm.
so we started dating, and he was just the best thing that the Lord could have ever given me after my salvation. And so got married to my husband shortly after high school. We were both 20,
Mhm.
and my husband surrendered into full-time ministry when he was 17. So I knew what I was getting into. But at the same time, I had no clue what I was getting into,
Right.
which is the best way to go into ministry. And so we are celebrating our 23rd wedding anniversary this December.
That's awesome.
23 years of full-time ministry together, 23 years of marriage, 2 babies, a 20-year-old named Titus, and a 14-year-old about to be 15, about to drive with someone in the car. And it's
Oh
not
my
going to be me,
goodness.
by the way. A daughter named Haven. So Haven and Titus are our 2 kids. So I'm a mommy, a wife, pastor's wife, and that's really this. That would sum me up, I guess you could say.
So
Yeah.
how long were you guys working in ministry for you before you decided that you wanted to start having kids, or was it a surprise when you started having kids?
So for me, the first 2 years of our life, we were in Louisville, Kentucky, because my husband was going to Bible college up in Louisville, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
We're from here. We're from Central Florida. All of our friends, all of our family, all of our roots are here.
Mm-hmm.
Other than my birth dad, who is in Pennsylvania, but really all of our people are here. So we're 2 years up in Kentucky, and I never one time in my mind, I think about it now, never thought that we could get pregnant while we're here.
Really?
No, yeah. So it wasn't in God's plan, and it wasn't at all on my mind. So so we were in Kentucky for the first 2 years of our marriage, and then year 3, my husband took his first full-time ministry position.
Mm-hmm.
So we moved back to Central Florida, but an hour and a half away from family.
Right.
And I had no intentions yet of having little ones. I wasn't like clamoring to like have them. I actually was like, we're going to do that later. I'm going to finish my undergrad. My husband's going to finish his undergrad. He was really close to being done, and then move into his master's and all of that. And so it was like, just kept in my mind, pushing it off.
Mm-hmm.
And then year 4 of marriage,
Mm-hmm.
while on birth control, while I was in my senior seminar of bachelor's degree,
Mm-hmm.
the Lord blessed us with, we were expecting our first.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went from not having it on my radar to being scared to death that I'm about to have a little one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how that happened.
How does that mind shift go? Like when you're not expecting to have a baby because you've like mentally scheduled it, you're like, okay, this is going to be a different time. So how do you move from being like first shocked? You're like, how am I pregnant? I was taking contraceptive. Like, how did this happen? And then
I thought it was hilarious, by the way. I was like, really? You can miss for 5 days? And like, wow. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you emotionally transition into like, yes, we're going to do that? Or do you ever, are you still just like, I am not ready for this?
Boy, I mean, there's one thing. It's like the train is coming. Like there's no stopping it. Once you know there's one coming, there's nothing but to start preparing for it. So there's no point in saying, but we were planning on it. It doesn't matter. Like your plans are foolishness at that point. So then I started to move from shock to excitement. Like I didn't care anything about school anymore, but I had to finish. Oh yeah. And so like I was sick 9 months every day.
Oh wow.
I got like the stomach sickness started in the morning, went all the way to nighttime. I was sick all day. And so I did that. I did school sick, and that was like not fun at all. I worked while I was sick, and there was a lot of times that the place that I worked had a beanbag, like kind of in like the break room, and I would curl up in the beanbag and like take little breaks and sleep. And I was just like, I would have loved to have just shut down for 9 months and just sleep and be sick, but I couldn't, So I just.
How much of your pregnancy were you still finishing up school for?
I delivered my son in April. I delivered my son in April, and my last classes were supposed to end in May.
Oh my goodness, that is stressful.
Yes. So I walked across the stage in December of 2004. He was born in April of 2004. So I got my diploma from University of South Florida during the winter commencement. And so I really did finish up the semester like in the hospital room.
Oh
like
my goodness.
it was crazy.
Did you have, so you were living an hour and a half away from family at that point. Did you have a lot of help with this pregnancy, with having a fresh new baby, or was it kind of like sink or swim, like figure it out?
The church that we were at the time was the sweetest church for being excited about their precious, youth pastor having his first little one. So they threw us showers. Like one was a teddy bear themed shower. I mean, they got me so excited. The sweet ladies were crocheting Afghans. I got like 6.
Oh, that's adorable.
I still have them. The only things, I'm not really a person who keeps a lot of stuff. I've kept all of my little blankets that they made him. And so the church loved on us, and they were like, we're so ready to love on. The youth group wanted me to start showing. Like they were like, when are you going to start showing? They were so excited.
When are you going to get chunky, Miss Tiffany?
I had a sister who was just so excited for me. I had one sibling, and she was 9 years younger than me. She was so excited. I have 3 sister-in-laws. I mean, I had 3 sets of parents. Everybody was excited about this first baby coming. So I would say if I had had a baby up in Louisville, Kentucky alone, away from everybody, I would have a much different story, I think. But I was surrounded by people that were like just waiting. And the lobby of the hospital room definitely was like a good example of how excited everybody was, because it was like slam full of people waiting for him to be born. So I was really surrounded by people. It wasn't sink or swim. They were all just ready and waiting to help as soon as he was born. Different story, different podcast, but my son ended up being sick after that. And it was all in God's plan to have me in the place where I had that much support, because he was very sick for the first 10 months of his life.
Wow,
So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He went into congestive heart failure at 9 days old.
Oh my goodness.
And he still has a heart condition to this day.
That's terrifying, Tiffany.
Yeah.
To not know any of these things.
Oh, yeah. So God was good. Yeah.
So you're just finishing up school. You just have this fresh new baby that you weren't anticipating, but you're super happy to have. What kind of things were being expected of you so you're saying at that point you're a youth pastor's wife, and I know from my experience in church, that's always a job in itself. It's not just it's not just the man who's doing it. It's always the wife, and they're kind of a team, a combo. So and then you're a friend to people, you're a mother to baby Titus, and then you're a sister and you're a daughter. So what kind of things on like a regular basis were being expected of you?
Well, at that time, I was suffering from a little bit of anxiety that I didn't realize due to his health. So I actually didn't fulfill as many ministry expectations as I normally do when Titus is fine and when my kids are fine and my family's fine. I go at things 100%, and I have about 1,000 things going at one time, like talking about juggling or whatever, like they're all in the air. During that time, the first 10 months of his life, it was all about Titus. It was all about keeping him alive, basically. And I didn't really do much of anything else. I stopped working, and nobody else could really watch him. It was nobody really wanted to watch the little one who could go into tachycardia at any time. And so
that's so hard
anyway,
on you.
but once he was well and he was 1 year old and we moved to our next church, which was in Asheville, North Carolina, at 1 year old, I found myself away from all family, all support and friends and anything. New church, we moved there specifically for the church, for the ministry position. And that's how we've lived our life since he was 1 year old until now. We've always lived wherever we were for the church. And I know that my 100% like reason why I live where I live or why I do what I'm doing is because God called us there and we're living sent. So I like work really hard at my ministry side.
Right.
And in that comes I feel like I have a responsibility to disciple whoever it is that the Lord has put over us. When we were young in ministry, it was over students, girls in particular. I felt it was my responsibility to oversee that they were being discipled. That's a heavy thing to kind of feel like is on your shoulders.
Yeah.
And so, not only are you wanting to make sure you're discipling your children well and you're being a good wife and, like you said, a sister, a daughter, I felt this pressure or this responsibility to make sure that everyone else was doing well too, like all the women in the church, which I don't know if the Lord called me to that or I put that on myself. But so yeah, I think like discipleship was always something that was always like, we are to make disciples. Well, God's called my husband to ministry, but he can't really minister to girls like I can.
Right.
So that's my job. And so I would kind of take that in.
And even if you tried, girls wouldn't be very interested.
They loved me. They wanted to talk to me.
Right.
They wanted time with me.
Women connect with women in such a different way.
Exactly. So I kind of I would say Titus's year 1 to now have made myself available to be there for other women, girls, whatever age they are, really.
So you're moving along. You're taking on this like feeling of responsibility for caring for these girls, ministering to these girls. You've got baby Titus who's been having health issues and stuff. And so when did you first start noticing feelings of burnout, of just like, oh my goodness, why is this so hard?
Burnout wasn't on my radar. Had never heard of it. I had never heard another person give a testimony about burnout in ministry or burnout in life. So I think I could have seen some signs at my daughter's second year of being, like, when she was 2 years old. I had a glimpse that I was probably struggling with it then. But I pushed through that season. Actually, I think when my son was born and I started breaking out in hives all over and things like that, like my body was kind of saying like, you're hitting a wall, but I think I've pushed through. But the ultimate like culmination of when I hit burnout was a couple of years ago when I couldn't look at my phone. I couldn't respond to texts. They scared me. It would just like bring me to a place where I just like was stressed out by the next text, the next email, the next thing I needed to do, going and picking up my daughter from school and taking her to dance. Everything that I had to do was becoming like a worrisome, not joy-filled thing anymore. It was like a burden. And I didn't think I could do it, but I knew I had to do it. So I think really like being able to fulfill my expectations, that was where I hit burnout. I was like, I can't do it. I can't look at my phone anymore. I can't even do the littlest of things that I'm expected to do. So I was kind of like, I just can't do any of this anymore.
When you say that, like you couldn't do these things anymore, is it because you just would get so anxious?
Yeah.
Would that like, so you mentioned hives before. Do you think, were those hives like related to anxiety, do you think? Or
Yes, for sure. So for me, I had gone that year, the year that I finally, in October, I think it was October or November of 2019, when I hit burnout. Up to that point, starting in January of 2019, up to then I had been to the doctor about 20 times.
Oh my goodness.
Starting in January up in Pigeon Forge, when we were trying to have a really good little getaway as a family, the whole time I was up there walking around Dollywood, I just didn't feel good. Felt like something was wrong. So I remember even going to an urgent care while I was on vacation. And then a couple months later, my husband and I went to a retreat called Timothy Barnabas, and I did teledoc while I was there. Like It was just, I think I have something wrong with me. My body was like telling me, you're not good. You're not doing good. But I didn't know what it was. And so my body was kind of starting to like not be able to hold up anymore under the weight of it all. And my mind, because I was like afraid of doing the next thing. So
Right.
it was body and mind was kind of just like, you can't do anymore. I was hitting a wall. Yeah.
So for those of watching that might not be involved in church or have
Yeah.
never been involved in ministry and stuff, when you say that like you had people texting you and stuff, what kind of things did people ask of you as like youth pastor's wife or later pastor's wife or feeling responsible for girls and women in your church? Like what is like a normal like load that people are asking of you?
This is going to sound kind of crazy, but this is exactly what year 2019 was for me. I was leading 3 different discipleship groups at one time. My church only recommends me in particular, only recommend you do one. It's a 52 weeks with a group of ladies. It could be like you, Chelsea, taking a group of 3 or 4 20-year-olds through the Bible for 52 weeks, holding them accountable.
That's a long time.
52 weeks, yes. Really getting the full scope of the scriptures, holding them accountable, praying with them, seeing like, what are we going to hopefully see by the end of 52 weeks? Like, where we hope that you'll be. And then at the end of it, hopefully there'll be a stronger disciple maker that they could start taking somebody through the Bible for 52 weeks. And so you really want to like equip them and strengthen them. So I was doing 3 different groups.
And you were leading them.
I was leading 3 different groups because it was something that I was really passionate about. And I knew it was going to change the trajectory of our women's ministry. If women were, more than anything else, if the bulk of our women were in the Word, and the thing that they were doing the most on a regular basis was meeting together just to talk about God's Word, I was like, this is going to change everything. So because I was so excited about it, I had more women asking me like, I want to be in a D group with you. I'm not comfortable leading one. Would you lead it? So I was like, sure. So I was like, 6:30 or 7:30 in the morning, one week, meeting at Black and Brew, this little coffee shop with this group of girls. And then on Wednesdays at lunchtime at Greenwise with this group of ladies. And then this other one, I was like kind of juggling I was trying to do 3 at one time.
Did you have any feelings of like worry or trepidation before when you were like, oh, I don't know if I should do 3 groups, but I really want to? Or did you just not realize what you were getting yourself into?
So when you are unaware of the fact that it's very important that you have balance in your life, you would have that awareness. But I was not who I am right now versus who I was then. It was do more for the Lord, do more for the church, do more. It'll be better for my family. It'll be better for me in the end if I just do more. And so I was like, no, I had no, I think one of my closest girls that was, so not only was I doing those 3 D groups, I was leading a Wednesday night Bible study with another girl in our church, and we wrote it, or like we wrote it. So it wasn't like we were picking up a Jen Wilkin and like just facilitating, which would have been a lot easier.
Right.
We were really like, we're like, hey, we're going to go through the book of Ephesians right now. We're going to go verse by verse. And I would find myself with like 4 I'm sorry, I have like no voice right now.
You're fine.
I'm sorry,
don't
it's
even
the
worry
allergies.
about it.
But anyway, I sound like a frog.
No, you don't.
But anyway, I'd have like 4 commentaries out at home. And I always was like working on being prepared for that or my D groups. So I was leading a Bible study, and I was the women's ministry director at our church. And so I was kind of in charge of planning 3 major events a year. And so there was usually always like planning for the next big thing, or the widow's tea, or the single mom's brunch, or something like that. So I was
on top of being a mother of 2 kids.
And as we know, that's
top of being a wife.
That's enough. Being a mama and a wife is enough, but we all add on extra things to that usually. And so mine happened to be all ministry stuff. It was women's ministry director, Bible study teacher, discipleship leader. And I also decided it'd be a great idea to work at a nonprofit on the side. You gave yourself
another thing?
I did. I thought my husband was wanting both was wanting both of our kids, and I were wanting both of our kids to be in a private school, but it would have been really great if I could have helped out. And so I thought it'd be awesome to work for in a missions department at a nonprofit that I loved. And I was like, missions is ministry. It's just an extension of what I do. I can add that on. So it was part-time, but I was also working when I hit burnout.
So what was your big indicator where you had to take a minute and be like, whoa, I'm doing something wrong?
My mind wouldn't shut down and my body felt unhealthy. That was it. I wasn't myself anymore. I wasn't finding joy, like I said, and I actually was petrified to go and pick up my daughter from school or go to the next D group. I was trying to cancel on everything. So I knew I can't do this anymore. Yeah.
How did you, what did you do to try to heal yourself from that? Like to figure out a way that your body could be healthier, that you could be happier? Like, what were your steps to that? Or did you have like a big break moment where you just kind of unplugged? And how did you recover from all of that?
You were right on about the unplugging, but I did not know to do that. My husband, who my Lord gave me a long time ago, who knew I was going to get to this point because God designed me the way he did, but he knew I'm going to need somebody to help me pull back. And so my husband, when he started to fight for me, and he said, "You're done. I'm taking everything off your plate. He said, I'm taking your phone and you're done." He said the word "you're done" like multiple times. And that's the best, like, weightlifter. You're done. You're done with that. And I was like, I was even petrified to have to, because I'm a people pleaser.
Right.
Not so much as I used to be. Thankful for reading Ephesians chapter 1 over and over and over and over again, to try to hopefully not be that person. But I was worried about even having to tell people that I was so sick and not able to fulfill my requirements at the time. So my husband even took care of that. Like he said, "I'll go up and collect your things from your job. You don't have to worry about that. I'll tell your Bible study teacher friends that you're not going to finish out the semester. I'm going to tell the ladies at church that you're not going to be planning that next event. I'm taking it all off of you." And he did. He stripped it all away. It took it all off of me. Now, not everybody can do that. Not everybody can step back completely from all of their, but the thing that you can do by hopefully what I can do is help you to start learning to say no and to put up boundaries and find balance before you get to that point, like I was, where you do need a complete reset. And so my husband at that point needed to help me reset and get me back to square one, that I can start fulfilling my non-negotiables, like just attending church. That's really all I needed to do. When he like scaled it back for me, it's like, what do you have to do? It'd be good if you could just be at church. And like, I was like, I think I can do that. But at the time I wasn't even sure I could do that. And so he was like, that's all you need to do. And so my husband fought for me to get that peace and to get that balance back in my life. And so he took everything away, and then he let me start introducing things that brought joy into my life back into my life.
What did that look like?
And so for me, it was the first thing I did, the first couple things that I did had nothing to do with church whatsoever. I started doing puzzles at home, where I just was, just doing something that I knew another friend of mine, her family loves to do puzzles together. I was like, just sit and have downtime and just like work on a puzzle? I can't even imagine.
How can you do that for the Lord? It's a puzzle.
Well, it was spending time with your family.
Yeah.
It was like eye-opening, because my daughter and my son and my husband were the ones who got the bulk of the bad end of the deal of me being wore out. my daughter would be standing beside me at church trying to talk to me, and I would always putting her off, always
Yeah.
putting her off. My husband would try to talk to me at church, and a lot of the time he would give up and just go ahead and get in the car and head home. And I'd be like, where are you? I've already left. I'm on my way home. Really? I was talking to people. Like, I thought I was doing good, but I was talking to people, but my family was like last. They were last in my mind. It was people, people, people. And so realizing that, like, listen to your daughter quietly, just like for as long as it takes, let her just talk. Mm-hmm. So anyway, it started with like me just being present in the living room, like working a puzzle or something, and just being present and doing nothing. And because I also I'm a clean freak, so I was always like, doing stuff, but I'm never like being present. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, I started doing that. And then I started making cards and things that mm-hmm. I was being crafty, but
you mean like Christmas cards or
like cards for people, just like thank you cards or thinking about you cards. And I started just kind of doing some crafts at home that I found joy in, and it was using my artistic, kind of having this opportunity to use what I had inside, to all the things I was feeling, to be able to put on paper. Mm-hmm. And I started making cards and earrings. And so I had a lot of fun for the first time ever doing like crafty things. Mm-hmm. And that was really, really good. So I did that for a long time, just kind of being at home, doing things before I started to reintroduce doing some things at church. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I had rested for so long that I was ready. Mm-hmm. I was ready to get back in there and be with my women and be with our church people. And so but I had to really go through a season of rest during that time to get healthy.
How long did you take to rest where you felt in your body that you just felt good again?
I would say all of COVID.
That's a good time to have done it.
So. Thankfully, I was like, I don't know if anybody else felt like this, because some people feel like COVID destroyed their life and it was the worst season ever. Mm-hmm. But I had gone back home right around the same time that everything shut down. Mm-hmm. And so it brought my husband home and it brought my kids home.
Yeah.
And we were all in the nest together all the time. And so it was the greatest blessing ever. I loved it. It was amazing. And my daughter loved it so much and loved having me with her so much that she was at home the next 3 years. Haven did not start going to school until this year. She's in 9th grade and she's at a private school.
Oh my goodness.
So she was with me 6th, 7th, and 8th grade at home doing online school. So it really did. It was all through COVID. And I went back to teaching my women on Wednesday nights, mm-hmm. but I've never done a D group ever since then. Mm-hmm. I've not done a discipleship group where I'm weekly pouring in, because I just needed to take a break for a while. Mm-hmm. So I went back to teaching the Bible, and then I took a break from that too. And right now, currently, I am in the student ministry department, just kind of loving on girls. Mm-hmm. So back to my roots, which is where we started. But I would say that I understood through all of this. I have found that resting in your work, like giving yourself time to rest from your work, is extremely biblical and God honoring. I know that for a fact that God called us to rest in Him originally in the Bible. Mm-hmm. So I took some time during that time where I took a step away from all of my busy ministry to rest in the scriptures. Mm-hmm. I sat on my porch or in my bed, and I sat and listened to the Psalms for a long time. But the one in particular that I went verse by verse and really word for word is Psalm 23. And I remember thinking, he makes me lie down in green pastures. I was like, Lord, I got it. You have made me lie down. You have made me lie down and let you take care of me. You brought me to the point where you make me lie down in green pastures and lead me beside still waters. And for me to just let the Psalms kind of pour over me is like laying beside still waters. You restore my soul. Like that right there, I just kind of, at night, I would sit and heal from Psalm 23, but particularly healed through the Psalms, not studying for anybody else, not studying to give it to somebody else, but for me, for just me. And I healed through the Psalms. And then later on, I went through a little bit of a study about Sabbath. I've heard one other girl from our church who told me, oh, Sabbath rest is my thing, girl. Like, she was like, I have the rhythm of having Sabbath rest. It's a part of my, it's like a discipline in my life. I'm like, cool. But I personally was not practicing Sabbath rest at all. So if I'd have learned about it during the time that I was like doing everything for everybody, I probably would have been like, that was a good word to teach somebody.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
You would have never thought,
I would have
like,
never
maybe
taken it to myself.
You'd have been writing notes for your next class.
Totally,
you were
I've
gonna
been
teach.
Sabbath rest. Awesome. But for me, Sabbath rest has been allowing myself to rest from the work that the Lord has called me to. And so it's like making sure that you have a balance in your life, working for the Lord, because he has told us to occupy or to work until he comes back. So he cannot just rest forever. We know that, he said in Exodus 20 that the Lord said in his word that he created for 6 days and then he rested. And then he created us to rest in him. All of that was awesome. But then the fall came and that Sabbath rest was destroyed. Now we have to work and toil. And so the Lord in the Old Testament initiated Shabbat or Sabbath, where you had to work for 6 days and then you were to rest and not do anything. And you're to focus on the good things that the Lord has given you and the ability to be able to work, to have good things. All of that was great. They did that. They almost did that as a legalistic kind of thing, but they did it. And then we know in Hebrews chapter 4 that the Lord said, Jesus said, find your rest in me, to find your calm in me. I am your rest. I will take your burdens. And I'm like, man, I wasn't doing any of that. I wasn't resting at all.
You're just producing.
I was producing, but I wasn't resting. And the Lord so many times says to be still and know that I am in control, or I am Lord. I will fight for you. And so I find myself, we are in that Hebrews chapter 4 kind of time where we are to rest in the Lord Jesus. But one day, our promise of our inheritance is that we will have complete and utter rest from all of our toils, all of our anxieties, all of our sickness, all of our ailments that cause us to strive, to work. We will have that in heaven. I cannot wait for heaven, by the way, because I don't have this figured out, how to work and properly rest. My tendency for the things that I have found to be very restful, like my cards, which I have a business now where I try to bless people with my cards. I find myself, if I'm thinking about them every day, it becomes work. And I'm like, oh, I want to make money doing this. That becomes work. It's no longer restful. And so like you have to even be careful. The things that you found to be a source of rest can become work. And so I'm still trying to figure out how to be the person that God made me to be, but then also have balance and rest. And I'm listening to my body. My body gives me clues or cues. So I'm trying my best right now to listen and to remember those sweet moments I had during my serious season of rest, and to like find that daily rhythm to do those so that I don't ever get to that point again where I burn out again.
Do you think that this rest that you're taking now, this Shabbat, that you're trying to incorporate on just a regular basis for yourself, do you think that that's kind of restored you into a better worker, or do you still feel is it still difficult for you when you have to say no to something that you would have said yes to before?
No, 100% better person, better worker, better form of me, better pastor's wife. I was expecting unrealistic expectations of myself, my family, and our staff wives. Even like nobody can live up to that. And so I think I'm definitely a better version of me now, as a result of what I've been through. I have a sweet relationship with everyone who I was trying to minister to, because they're getting a better version of me. When they get a little bit of me, it's a better version of me. But I also will put off some meetings with people. I'll put off these things because I know that's going to be too much in 1 week.
Right.
That's going to be too much. I'm proactive now on not putting too much on my plate. And so I think at the end of the day, everybody's getting a better version of me, even though they're getting a lot less of me now. So, yeah. And my kids and my husband are getting a lot more of me, which that's the way it's supposed to be. I think that's who's supposed to get the most of you is your husband and your kids. They're supposed to get the best version of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for other moms who might be dealing with, oh my gosh, I can't keep up with this, or burnout, or postpartum issues where they're just struggling to hang on just to the basic things of changing the diapers and cleaning up the baby mess? Like, what do you think that they should be doing to kind of help themselves?
Find that daily rhythm of working and resting. I do think it's important that they do that they find an outlet that's outside of the daily work that they're doing. Work really, really hard at changing those diapers, nurturing those babies, playing with those babies, ministering to your husband, cleaning your house, like, fulfilling your ministry activities, whatever. Do all of that stuff. But then have something else out there that you do that is not any of those things. Whether it's walking, being outside in God's creation, make sure you do that walk. Make sure I just think it's very important to find rest in something that you enjoy outside of your daily work, so that you never find yourself never stopping. Like, you've got to stop. You've got to rest. So I think that's really important. Let the word heal you. You can go as slow as word for word through Psalm 23, especially if you're not in the word, and let that be it. But I do say, let the word be in your life. I'm not saying study it, because that might cause more work to you. That might not be something you can handle at this time. Mommies have very little time. So I would just say, definitely have the word be in your life, though. Boy, I would say learn to say no.
That's the hard part.
I mean it. Say
I'm
no.
a people pleaser as well.
Say
so
no.
It
Say
makes
no.
me
Say no.
physically
Say no.
ill to say no.
Put up boundaries. Put up boundaries. Put up boundaries in your life and say no. You don't have to tell other people that you're doing this. It's just you're in charge of your calendar. You're the only one that can let things in and let things out. And so you be in control of that through your husband's advice and your husband's blessing. Do you think I should do this? I told him about this. I told him, like, Chelsea asked me to do this. He thought it was great. I was like, do you really think I should do this? I really think you should do that, Tiff. Okay. I mean, like, I run through my calendar with him now. And sometimes he says, "You're doing too much, Tiff." And I'm like, "You're right. I probably am. I think I'm going to cancel on that. I think you should, because you're doing too much." So I run a lot through my husband.
Just to get that other set of
Yeah.
input, because I
I
feel
don't
like
have a good filter.
I feel like it's so hard when it's just you, and especially as the people pleasers, we're like, oh, I want to do
Yes.
this and this, and it's helpful to have the other person to give you a
Yes.
reality check, and like, but when are you going to sleep?
Exactly. People pleasing comes to me from the broken home that I came from. I always tried to be really, really good for my mom, really good for my birth dad when I go visit him, really good for my stepdaddy who inherited me at 6 years old and then never had kids. I really, really wanted to be a good Christian. I really, really, really want to be good for everybody.
Right.
Rather than rebelling from everything like some kids do. I wanted to be the best version for everybody. And so if you take that into Christianity and pastor's wife, it can be like a really unhealthy, unrealistic expectation. So I found out the hard way. And I apologize for anybody who knew me back in the day when I was going a mile a minute and juggling 100,000 things. And other wives were like, "I can't do that." Like, you shouldn't have. You shouldn't have. I shouldn't have been doing all of that, but I did because I didn't know. Yeah.
So what can we do? Like, I know as sisters and friends and daughters, and when we see other women who are struggling, our neighbors, I know a lot of the time we just look at everybody else and we're like, oh man, why am I not as cool as her? How does she do it all? How can we really like refocus that conversation and look at people and say, how can I help them, or how can we work together so we can both feel rested and good about our work instead of just trying to impress and make other people jealous?
Do you think, and I think, I was off of social media for 21 years. I know I didn't have it. I am on it now. And so perhaps you might want to give somebody the advice to, did you know you cannot have social media and you can be a very successful, wonderful, well-rounded person and not have that in your life? So I think one thing you can do is like take this expectation off of them. Like I do know for sure that you can do it without it. So that's one thing, because it's an added like pressure for people. So find something that you can help take off of somebody. And like today I told a mommy who was feeling guilty. I said, "Did you know that even though you feel like you're taking your little one to all of these appointments with you, it's still probably more beneficial maybe for that little one to be with you all the time, because some babies have to be at a daycare from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and they're not with their mommy." And I was that person. I had to have my kids at a daycare for a season in their life where I dropped them off in the morning, got them at 5:30 in the afternoon. And that's not bad either. But I was like, help them to not be beat up on themselves so much. Like, just kind of turn it around and say, like, you're doing a good job, though. Do you know you're with your baby all the time? Even though you feel like you're running them ragged, they're still with you. And so, like, just kind of listening to mommies and help them to find the positive in what they're doing. To give them some good advice, some tangible advice that they could do to help them to be a little healthier. Like the friends that walked me through that season where I pulled everything back, not one person at my church or my friends asked me to give them like the details of what was going on. You don't have to share your entire story. You don't ever have to tell anybody what you're going through. You can go through that privately. And they were so good to walk with me through that time and to not really have to know all the details. So they brought me like little baskets and gifts and food, and oh boy, they sat with me on my porch and they were just with me because I needed to be with people, but I also did not want to talk about what I was going through. So just being present. Those are some things I would say. Be present. Be very I don't know what the word is, but intentional about what you say when you give advice. And then also help them to go easy on themselves. Go easy on yourself. You're doing great. You're doing amazing, mama. Like everything you're doing, you think you're doing terrible, or you think you're holding your kids back or something like that. No, they are happy kids. You are the mama for them. They love you. So, I mean, I feel like God gave me the ability to be an encourager, and I'm going to be that. I'm going to be an encourager to mommies. And that's all I can be. But I'm not going to be that Bible study amazing Beth Moore person, because that brings stress into my life. So find what you can do and be good at it. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're so
Tiffany,
welcome.
for sharing
I'm sorry
that.
I sound like a frog today.
No, stop
I'm going to be so embarrassed to
apologizing.
hear this, because I'm
Stop
going to be like,
apologizing.
who is that person talking like a frog?
No, I think it's great, and I think what you had to share is really important for all of us to just let sink in. And sometimes we hear advice, but we don't take it. So I hope that people really listen to this and they can see themselves in your story and maybe take your advice on the beginning part instead of the later part.
Yes, I pray that they will. If there's any mama out there that's juggling 100,000 things in the air and still not feeling like they're doing anything good, I hope that they'll look at me and know that it's okay to do nothing, but be good at just being a wife and mommy, and that being enough. Because the Lord already said, you're so special and you're so amazing to me, that I love you so much that I would send my one and only son to die for you. I love you that much. When we were enemies, he died for us. So like, you're good in the eyes of the Lord. Like, he loves you. He loved you so much that he did the ultimate, the thing that our husbands, we want to think, well, my husband would probably die for me, or he would give a whatever for me, whatever organ he has, he would give it for me. He's probably the only person on the planet that would do that. And maybe even he couldn't do that. But the Lord, he did that for us. So honey, mama, sweet friend, the Lord loves you just the way you are. And just being a mommy and a wife, it's enough. Just enough.
Being a mom is enough. You don't have to keep adding on all of these extra things that we want to expect for ourselves. To keep up with other moms on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. To be the perfect mother. All you have to do is take care of your baby and take care of yourself. Because you are still you. You are mama, always and forever. But I'm still Chelsea. Tiffany's still Tiffany. And we do exist outside of only being a mom. And that's hard to remember a lot of the times when we're drowning in the needs of others. But if we just ask for a little bit of help, lower those expectations, lower that competition we feel with other women in this need to impress others and impress ourselves, and just accept the day for what it is. I love my baby, and my baby loves me, and that's all we need right now. Then we can be free to take care of ourselves and stop competing and shaming other moms because we weren't the most perfect. All right, fun part of the podcast now. Ask me anything. So the first question that I have for you today is, how do you change a poopy diaper when you're blind? Do you want to know my secrets? I use like 1,000 wipies. So, okay, maybe not 1,000, but like literally like at least 15 on a poopy diaper. There's so many. And I feel like whenever I pull one wipey, like one doesn't just come out, like 10 come out at the same time. And then I'm kind of wadding them up, holding my baby down who's throwing his legs in the air with poop everywhere and trying to grab it. And I just do the best wiping I can. And when I think I'm done, I wipe some more. And if it's a particularly messy, nasty diaper, even after I think I've done a good job and I've kind of checked and felt around his little booty cheeks and made sure that they're all clean, I will still give him a bath just to be sure, because sometimes those diapers are nasty. And so that's how I feel pretty good. sometimes it has happened where my husband has just happened to be in the same room and he pointed out to me like, hey, you actually missed a spot. But, if you miss a spot, it's not the end of the world. The baby's going to be fine. You're not a bad mother. You're not the worst thing ever. You just missed a spot. It's fine. But a good way to make sure that doesn't happen often is to just use a ton of wipies. And if it's extra gross, just give them a bath really quick. I did that this morning. Dallas had a little pee soak because he drank so much water before he went to bed and he slept all night. And so I was like, we're just going to rinse you off from the waist down with a little bit of bubble bath. And he's fine. He didn't enjoy it, but he's clean now. So it's great. So the next question that I have is, how do you give your kids medicine when you're blind? So right now my kids are still, at least Dallas is still on liquid Tylenol, like the infant Tylenol, and you need a syringe to dispense this medication, the Motrin as well. And so what I do is, if my husband has not pre-filled syringes for me that I have in a very specific location kept separate so I don't mix anything up, I will call someone on FaceTime and I will prop my iPhone up like underneath my chin, like in front of my neck, and kind of hold it there. So I have both of my hands free, one to hold the Tylenol or Motrin bottle and the other one to hold the syringe. And I just pull the plunger until the amount of medication has reached the correct fill line according to the person who's on FaceTime. So my sister is an RN. That makes it really helpful. She knows what she's doing with medication. And I imagine that I could just measure how far on this syringe I have to pull the plunger, like by using my finger, like a first knuckle, second knuckle, something like that, especially if I was using the same syringe over and over again and got very familiar with it. I imagine that I could do that, but with something like acetaminophen or Motrin, I get really nervous about accidentally giving my kids too much. So it makes me feel a lot more comfortable to always have had a pair of eyes on it that can confirm, yes, that is exactly 2.5 mils. That is perfect for your little baby. You can go ahead and give it to him. And then I always make sure to hold them up and put the syringe right in the side of their cheek and give it to them. But luckily now my kids are old enough that they will just suck the syringe right down. So they're not spitting the medicine back on me anymore. It's pretty nice. But even when I had to do that with them as babies and they spit some medicine back up, if I dispensed it, I counted it. I didn't try to figure out how much they spit back up and then gave them more. I didn't want to accidentally give them too much. So I was like, well, that was your medicine. You shouldn't have spit it on me. You're going to have to wait 4 hours before you get more. And that's just the way that it was. And it has worked out pretty great. My kids are doing awesome. And I feel pretty confident in that system to give them medicine. And I haven't made any screw-ups yet. If you want to see more content from me, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, X, YouTube, or you can check me out at my website, chelseapainterdavis.com. That is a great place to sign up for my email list or to submit questions for the Ask Me Anything segment of the podcast, or you can recommend a guest for the podcast. Do you know any inspiring stories? I would love to hear them. Also, you can check out my upcoming events, and the next one that I will be a part of is the Roe versus Wade Memorial Service in Inverness, Florida. It is hosted by the Citrus County Right to Life, and it will be a beautiful event at noon on their historic courthouse lawn, and I would love to meet you there. Thank you so much for hanging around through the end of the episode. I hope today that we have shown you that all life is worth living. Just like in the book of Esther, where God paints a beautiful portrait from the background, God is painting a beautiful portrait with your life, and we can learn so much from each other if we only share our stories. Whenever it feels like the darkness is pressing in, just remember the words of Jesus Christ in John chapter 9. As long as I am in the world, I am the light.
Oh my gosh, my fly's been down.
Yeah.